Very beautiful morning to you out there. My name is Lawrence Omoette. Welcome to Insights. Yes, the global problem of illicit drugs is forcing countries, including Nigeria, to adopt multi-dimensional approach to tackle the menace. Countries now address the problems through the lens of public health and broader social approach, rather than only through the conventional criminal matter approach. Also, 1.4 million people abuse drugs. I'm sure the numbers are higher now, or maybe lower, because this is a 2021 figure, I think. While 1 in 5 persons, approximately 3 million Nigerians, suffer from drug use disorder, with no less than 150,000 among them in dire need of medical treatment. Similarly, the World Drugs Report of 2021 predicted a likely 11% increase in the number of people who abuse illicit substances across the world over the next 8 years. About 40% of that increase is projected to come from Africa alone, meaning Nigeria, which is the most populous country in the continent, must be very concerned. So far, the NDLEA, that's the Nigerian Drug Law Enforcement Agency, has launched interventions to muscle drug traffickers with preemptive strikes and arrests so as to salvage, reverse and control the environment and make the illicit trade very unattractive. The agency in 2021 alone mopped up over 3.5 million kilograms of assorted drugs from the street, which together with cash seized from traffickers amounted to over 150 billion naira, and on and on and on. There's so much to talk about the menace of drug abuse in Nigeria. And my guest is Mr. Femi Babafemi, Director, Media and Advocacy of the NDLEA. Femi, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure being here again.
Yes, it's our pleasure considering what it takes to drag you to this station. We are really grateful to have you physically in the studio.
I appreciate it.
Oh, well, you can join our live stream on YouTube by typing in Insight, and you can also interact with us on our social media platforms on Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 937, and also on X at Citizen FM 937. Our phone numbers, you can also call us, but that will be at the our mark. We'll call the numbers later. But straight on, Femi, let's go straight to the matter. Every day, we are inundated with reports of massive drug bust, arrest of suspects. Yet the situation does not look like abating. Why do we have this prevalence?
Yeah, thank you there, Law. I can tell you that indeed this is a global challenge. So it's not just something that is limited or restricted to Nigeria. It's just that we're having our own share of that global problem. And so even if we try we could within the country to prevent the manufacturing or distribution here, is still a very tough call to just like you guiding your own home. You don't know what your neighbors are doing, whether they are doing the same thing, and perhaps if they are not doing the same thing, so you are likely to have the consequences of some of the things happening out there. So what we're having, I can say that it's part of a global challenge. But then the good thing is we are not folding our hands. We have an agency, like you rightly mentioned, that is saddled with the responsibility of curtailing the distribution and the manufacturing of this, and even the abuse of these illicit substances in our country, and also preventing them from coming into our country. That's the NDLEA, and we'll have the new NDLEA, I would say, has been up and doing very, very strong on the ground when it comes to this, and that's why we have a whole lot of of goodwill out there within the Nigerian public and among our international partners out there, the other stakeholders, our counterparts across the world. So we're working not only with our stakeholders locally, we're also working very well with our counterparts across the world. Those in the U.S., the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, the INL, that's International Narcotics and Law Enforcement of the State Department, and in UK, we're working with the Border Force, we're working with the National Crime Agency, the same thing in France, in Germany, in all over the world, and right over in Nigeria, we're doing all of those things to ensure that indeed we do our best here to ensure that we don't allow distribution or production of these illicit substances. But beyond all of that, which fall under our drug supply reduction, we're also doing quite tremendously well in the area of drug demand reduction. That is to raise awareness about the dangers of abusing these illicit substances, the consequences of abusing these illicit substances, and also educating the people to the point that they can take the right decisions, especially our young people, so that they can know that what they are taking may give them a momentary euphoria, but then the consequences that come with that may be long-lasting and even everlasting. Some may not even last long to actually be alive to see the consequences, as in they might be cut short, their life might be cut short in the process. So they're quite all of this information that we're making available, engaging with young people, engaging with everybody, and beyond that, beyond the awareness and prevention of substance abuse for those that are already abusing illicit substances, we'd also ensure that we've gone all out there across all our commands across the country. We make sure that officers every week they go to the right places, the schools, primary, secondary, tertiary institutions in the areas of responsibility, marketplaces, worship places, churches, mosques. We ensure that officers in partnership along with, because it's not what we can do alone, also in partnership and with other stakeholders like non-governmental organizations, society organizations, go to these places. And that's why to be able to also get the people aware of some of these things, every Sunday we do package a 3 to 5 minutes video that we'll call weekly review and share of some of these activities across the country, because some of them may not be in the media, because they may not really be newsworthy for our colleagues in the media. So but then we try as much as possible to package them, just a few of them, instances of some of these visits, raising awareness, because like it said, prevention is better than cure. And for those that are already involved, that are already abusing, we also have a lot of platforms for them to seek help and get treatment.
Okay, in the last 5-6 years, NDLA had been arresting drug pushers, criminals, and parading them. And after a while, people said, "Oh, the agency is only arresting the small fish. Why not go for the big fish?" But I know that in the last 1 year, major barons have also been arrested. And can you bring us up to date in terms of prosecution? What is the latest in some of these major busts?
Yeah, thank you very much there. Definitely, I can say that since the coming of General Marwa in January 2021, there has been like never before upsurge in the arrest of these offenders and deliberate targeting of the barons. And as of today, I'll tell you that indeed the agency had arrested in the last couple of months well over 48,000 offenders, including 46 barons. And when you talk of prosecution, we almost have 90% success rate in terms of prosecution. And so in the last couple of months, with also successfully prosecuted and gotten conviction of more than 8,000 offenders, and including barons. For instance, the last of the barons that was convicted was the man behind the meth laboratory in VGC. Yeah, highbrow VGC, that's Victoria Garden City in Lekki area of Lagos. That was towards the end of last year. He was not only convicted, we also went after his assets, properties, the mansion he was actually using to do that. We also went after that mansion, his vehicle, everything. We ensured that they were forfeited to the federal government, and in fact, that mansion was forfeited, I think, around November or December last year to the federal government by the order of the Federal High Court in Lagos. So definitely we go, and that for us is a very strong deterrence, because we know we also have the leadership of the agency is also very deliberate and intentional about going after the assets of these people, because the whole essence of going, and that is the barons themselves, the whole essence of going into this business, criminal trade, is to acquire wealth and live large. And so a number of them wouldn't even mind going to jail for 10 years as long as their monies are safe in their bank accounts and their properties are intact, and they come back and still continue the same thing, or even still controlling stores from inside the prison yard. But then with the new deliberate effort and determination of the leadership of the agency to go after all of these assets, we know definitely this would deter them, especially now that they are seeing that indeed this is not just by words of mouth. Indeed, the agency is ceasing, blocking their bank accounts, ensuring that these funds are forfeited to the federal government, as well as their houses and their luxury vehicles. All of these are forfeited to the federal government. So indeed, we're doing, we're making success, getting a lot of successes in the prosecution, especially of those who have either though or for years been behind the scene, invisible, unknown, and untouchable. But now they know that indeed they are within reach and they are touchable.
All right. Cannabis and maybe crystal meth have become homegrown drugs in Nigeria, and over the time now, there are fears that the country may soon become a cocaine producer nation. Is this is this an exaggeration? Yeah,
that may not be, especially if our country, if we are going the rate at which we are going now, with we are dismantling anywhere we find cannabis plantation, we are destroying them. And I can say, I'm talking not just hearsay or something, that I'm talking with facts and figures. And I can also tell you again, with the coming of General Mara in January 2021, and between then and now, I know the agency had gone into virtually all the forests across this country and taken down over 1,000 hectares of cannabis farm. Over 1,000 hectares. Those are huge. From one hectare alone. From 1 hectare alone, I think they produce as many as 2,500 kilograms.
Wow, that's huge.
That's huge. So imagine that's 1,097 hectares. I'm speaking specific now. Between 20,000 of these plantations, and beyond the cannabis plantation. And I can tell you, when we destroy this, that's why you will see them. They always come together, group, and try to attack our men, just as you've seen in
Edo State.
Yeah, twice now, in 2022 and 2023. In Obuja Forest, they had really engaged our men, and in both cases we had ensured that, even though the last one, we had some of our men sustained serious injuries. One was even life-threatening, but for the quick and proactive intervention of the chairman, chief executive of the agency, maybe that officer could have lost his life, but then we thank God he's alive today. But then in those cases, we prove to them that indeed we're stronger than them and we have superior firepower. We're able to overwhelm them and still made decisions that we're going for. So you see, it's not been easy, but then we're making sure that all of these, we cripple these cartels behind cannabis in the country. We know it's something that may take time because it's the most commonly abused in Nigeria. When you talk of the 14.3 million Nigerians abusing illicit substances, that's as far back as 2018. 10.6 million of them abuse this particular psychoactive substance. So that's huge, meaning that virtually, quite a large, and those are people within the age bracket of 15 and 64. Survey didn't cover those under 15 and those above 64. So meaning that the figures could be more. But then the issue is we're making sure that wherever those things are located, as long as we have information, we have intelligence, we work on them, we trace them and make sure that they are taken down, they are destroyed, and those behind them are also taken out of circulation. The same thing we do with the crystal meth, that's the ice that you talked about also. And I think so far the agency had taken out more than 25 of those clandestine laboratory, and we still continue to go after them wherever we find them.
Okay, before we come back to cannabis, you were talking about the attack on your colleagues, officers of the NDLA. Yes, it's been on the news. Apart from the Edo State example, there are other instances where officers have also. So how huge is this challenge, apart from the physical attack? Because I know that fighting drug abuse is a very sensitive and dangerous job.
Absolutely.
So how challenging, how huge is this challenge?
Yeah, indeed, because just like in any other sphere, if you want to take, going after them or going after this, their laboratory, clandestine labs, or going after their plantation, it's to them is trying to take from them their livelihood, means of livelihood. So they are bound to fight back. And you would have seen all of that. Not only in Nigeria, it's a phenomenon. It's something that is global. It's something, there's a challenge all over the world. You can see the Americans and the South Americans, what the Americans are facing from their neighbors and all of those things. So it's something that it's a global challenge. But then here, like I said again, the agency has really evolved into a world-class agency of government, a world-class law enforcement, well rated by Interpol, well rated by the USD, well rated by our partners out there. And so because of that, because of our performance, because of what international partners see us do, we're privileged to be exposed to a lot of trainings on how to respond to all of these threats and dangers. We are also grateful that indeed we have the support of our home government, that the presidency led, the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the National Assembly, and a lot of other stakeholders, because I think Nigerians now appreciate this problem more, and also is resonating with our people. The fact, the things will tell them that indeed this is not just a fight, this is not just a war, this is not a Marwa thing, this is not an NDLA thing, this is a collective survival. And so it has to be a collective effort. We all have to rise up, defend our lives, defend our future. And what is the future we're talking about? Our young people. Because if we don't do that, we may all wake up one day and discover that when we say, okay, our own generation is going, we need to hand over to the leadership of the country to those who are future leaders. And by the time we are ready to hand over to them, they may not even be these future leaders in place. They are all gone due to substance abuse. So that is a huge challenge, and that's why we appreciate the fact that there is that level of awareness with the activities of the agency, with our advocacy initiatives. We are glad that the level of awareness in the country is high, especially among the citizens and the leadership of the country, to the point that we're getting it's not sufficient, it's not enough, we're not there yet, but we're getting enough support this, all of this level of awareness, because now we see schools, especially, okay, let's take for instance the University of Abuja here. Sometime in 2002, when the University of Abuja to launch the War Against Drug Abuse WADA club there, and also had meetings with the management of the school, and we preached to them the gospel of adopting drug test for their students. I mean, 100 level students, fresh students, and even returning students. And we're glad today, as I sit before you, talking to you, that indeed University of Abuja has taken that major step by adopting that policy, and now all their fresh students are coming to our offices, and other medical facilities to have their drug test conducted. So that's a huge one, because what it means is the deterrence will be there. These children, they already know. And the same thing is happening in other schools. I'm just taking the University of Abuja as an example. So meaning that if we continue at the rate we are going now, if Nigeria sustains this war, and even we take it higher, then over time, we may not eradicate totally, but at least would have succeeded in reducing it to the barest minimum.
Okay, before we go on break, let's come back to the issue of cannabis. During the last election, one of the presidential candidates said, why not legalize cannabis where Nigeria could make so much money from it? There's been this controversy over the years. Even as recent as about a month ago, your chairman met with the Ondo State governor, I think. Yes, and they had discussion on the economic benefits of cannabis and issues. So what is the position of the agency currently on this?
Our position has
not changed.
Has never changed, because the devastating effect of just this morning, just as I was in another media house for their morning show, and just as I was seated in their waiting lounge to be ushered into the studio, my chairman, my boss, sent me a video, and that video was talking about the person in the video was talking about the consequences of some of these things, and I felt touched again. You see, as long as the consequences of these things are against our well-being, as long as the consequences are against public health, as long as the consequences are against law and order and our national security, then our position cannot change, because there is a strong nexus, especially that particular psychoactive substance, cannabis, because like I've told you before, is the most abused, because we produce it. Even we have arrested people in Abuja here, we have arrested people in other parts of the country, people who even grow it in their compound. They said, some say for medicinal, all those kind of things. But we know that beyond all of this, especially the cannabis we grow here and some of those that are imported, the effect, the psychoactive ingredients, the THC there is very high. And so these have dangerous and negative effects on the health of our people. And there is no doubt about the fact that this causes psychosis. And it's just it's grammar. Psychosis is grammar. What we call it on the sea is madness. So how do we then allow this to be legalized or whatever, when we're still struggling with even the effect, even when it is not legal, we're struggling with the effect, the consequences of that. And for people that talk about, for us, we're usually excited about this argument, because I know that, like we found out all over the world I mean, when even in some places now, those that had even legalized it and they are already reconsidering it because they have seen the exponential rise of crime in their societies, in their communities, so they are already reconsidering it. So why do we do that? We're still struggling with security challenges. How do we then want to justify that because of economic benefit? Which economic benefit?
Money.
How do we raise? For instance, you grow something, you are able to package the process, sell it, and generate maybe like $10 million. And at the end of that, you also have to build rehabs centers worth $100 billion. I mean, what is this logic in that? So it doesn't add up, because we know. I mean, it's proven beyond doubt that the people involved in all of these crimes and criminalities all over the places, they live perpetually on these psychoactive substances, especially cannabis and the opioids, the tramadol, the codeine. These people live on this, and they pop this thing because they have to depend on these mind-altering substances. That's why they are called mind-altering substances, because what they do is to alter your natural being, your natural state, then and make you, become a different thing, an entirely different thing, when you cannot control or take charge of your decision or decision making processes.
All right, if you're just joining us, it's been Insight, and we are talking about the challenges of combating drug abuse in Nigeria. And my guest has been Femi Babafemi, Director of Media and Advocacy, NDLE. We will take a short break, and when we return, we will look at other issues. Please don't go away. My name is Lawrence Omoette.
For UTME into Nigerian tertiary institutions begins January 15th to February 26, 2024. Please check with NIMSI to ensure that all data agrees with your details. Each candidate must create a profile using a phone number not previously used by other candidates. Send your NIN by SMS text to either 55019 or 66019 to generate the profile code. A profile code of 10 characters is received by the candidate in same phone number, which is presented to purchase the UTME e-pin. Registration fee inclusive of all relevant charges is 7,700 naira with mock exam or 6,200 naira without mock exam. Center and back charges of 2,700 naira and 4,200 naira respectively have been included in the
contact via SMS, call or WhatsApp on 070-681-29310. The number again, 070-681-29310. Boarding Stars, the soul of the nation. Here comes the People's Security Monitor on your classy Citizen FM 93.7, a program designed to serve as a platform to raise suggestions on how best to improve Nigeria's security system in collaboration with our security agencies and the citizenry. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon on 93.7 Citizen FM, Abuja. Remember, Nigeria's security is our collective responsibility.
Thank you for staying tuned. It's still Insights on Citizen FM 93.7. My name is Lawrence Omoette. My guest is Femi Babafemi, Director of Media and Advocacy, NDLE. Yes, you guessed right. We are talking about the challenges of combating drug criminalities surrounding the issue of drug peddling, barons, everyone around who are perpetrating these things. How is the NDLA coping, and what are other things? You can join us on our live stream on Citizen FM on YouTube. Type in Insight and you will be part of the show from anywhere in the world. You can also follow us on our social media platform on Facebook at Citizen FM Abuja, on Instagram at Citizen FM 937 and also on X at Citizen FM 937. And the phone lines are open now. You can call us on 090 322 29797. That's 0903 22 29797. You can also call us on 0818 22 22205 or any of these numbers if you don't want to call, and we will be glad to take your read out your message. Just let us know where you are writing in from. Once again, it's still Insight on Citizen FM 93.7. Okay, Femi, let's look at another issue that for me is ironical, so to speak. There has been calls for the agency to collaborate with entertainers, with artists and everything in terms of taking the message to a huge following. But sometimes also, I also know that some of this collaboration comes with controversy. The NDLA will be asked, why is such a person, or why is NDLA associated with such a person? So how do you manage this from the...
It's a dangerous balance. I'll tell you, it's a dangerous balance. I get where you are driving to. Yes, indeed. We, by virtue and by the nature of our job, we, as long as you are a Nigerian, whether it's an individual or a corporate entity, we are open to working with those that share the same vision with us, that is to eradicate substance abuse and illicit drug trafficking in our country. And there has been that question of, because our entertainers, those we see as celebrities, those we see as influencers, those we see as role models for millions of our kids, for millions of our young people. You also have a number of them that that either abuse these illicit drugs or even promote or glamorize them, and they come online to show all of these things, thereby misleading millions of our young minds. And so that makes it necessary for us to also, what we have done in that particular area is to present the stick and the carrot approach. Indeed, as you would have also noticed that a number of those in that particular area have come under our watch, and some of them have had to be arrested and even prosecuted. And I know that at least one or two of them had been convicted by the court. That the stick, wielding the stick, that is, if you go off the line, you have the law to contend with. And on the other side, we also try to see, okay, for those that are willing among them, we're ready to make them change their message from what they used to send across, from the negative, from those messages or contents that have negative impact. That is not to say that, I must at this point acknowledge those among them that have been using their platforms and their God-given talents to actually preach against these things. You have quite a number of them in the Nollywood. You have quite a number of them in the entertainment, that's the music industry, all across. And so we appreciate all of these people. We know them. We're following them back to back, and we're monitoring their activities to ensure that, and when there is need to partner, we partner with them. We work with them like the umbrella body of those in the Nollywood Actors Guild of Nigeria. We have a close relationship with the leadership of that body. We do we have a number of, even though they may not be loud overtly, but we do collaborate at some level. They are not things we announce because of the names of individuals involved, so as not to stigmatize people. Then for Performing Musicians Association of Nigeria, we have also opened talks with them, and I'm very positive that we may have an open interaction with them also any moment from now. We're working at that level, and at the individual level, we have a number of these people also. Even a number of them had also produced jingles, TVCs for us, free of charge. So, meaning that at that level, even though we know that it's not easy to win all of a sudden or at a go, but then it's an ongoing, it's a work in progress. So we continue to ensure now, and in some cases, you probably have also noted last year, there was also an individual that came forward and said, okay, NDLA, I know you guys have been monitoring me, I know you guys have been after me, blah, 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 but now I am, I want to change my message. I want to tell my followers, this is an individual that has over 8 million followers. So, I mean, that's huge. That's a huge fan base. And over the years, this same person has been churning out messages that have been misleading all of these huge young people, and came up and said, no, I want to change this. And we said, you are welcome. But unfortunately, Nigerians misconceive that, you see. So sometimes it can be, that's why I call it a dangerous balance, because sometimes the same Nigerians asking, why are you not collaborating with these people, so that, and now somebody came forward, that was a huge setback for that young man, I believe, because obviously he wanted to, he made some promises. Even though he did the first video where he did in our office, where he appealed to his followers to stop, that they should look at him. Now, I used to tell you that I abuse this thing, it's good for you to abuse, but now I've come back to realize that indeed these things are not good for you, not good for your health. If you want to have a future, these things are not good for you. Now, I have also stopped, so you need to also stop. And that message, that video is out there. But beyond that, we expect the public reaction to that. Obviously, they encourage him to go further in that. Before then, I had another controversy. But we believe by and large that indeed those are the kind of things we welcome wherever you are, whoever you may be, as long as you share our vision, our goal to we are not a funding agency. We don't have funds, we don't have the resources, but when it comes to collaborating with you, our presence, human resources, sharing of sharing information that would help people in guiding them to take the right and appropriate decisions. All of those things, we're open to all of those things, and we're glad that indeed a lot of Nigerians, both corporate and individual, are also taking advantage of this to collaborate with us and to push the message.
All right, if you're still listening to us, it's Insights on Citizen FM 93.7. The numbers are still open. The phone lines are open: 0903 2229 797 and 0818 2222 205 or 0818 22 206. I can see a few calls dropping. Maybe we should concentrate on the 0903 2229797. Please call and we will take your message. Femi, let's look at while you were talking, you mentioned that some people were also prosecuted and convicted. Now, this brings me to the issue of the judiciary. Do you sometimes, as an agency, get frustrated by the slow pace of the judiciary? I also noted that in some of the releases we get from your agency, sometimes you see someone who has been, maybe was arrested and somehow given a bail in court, and this same person 2 years later or maybe 6 months later is caught in another place with something else. So sometimes, how frustrating can this be for the agency?
Yeah, I'll tell you, no doubt, like I said, as we acknowledge wherever we speak that indeed this is a collective fight. We cannot lay so claim to all the successes that the agency has achieved so far. It's a collective effort. We do say that. So the judiciary definitely it's part of our success story, because that's the end of the process for us, where in all our intelligence gathering, in all our tracking, investigation, and arrest and seizures, ultimately all of these, the joy is when these cases get to court, they are quickly dispensed with, and the right sentencing is given. That's the joy of an investigator, that's the joy of a law enforcement agent or a law enforcement agency, because he has that inner peace that indeed the work that have done has gotten to the right end, and again he feels secure, because when people, it's a human right for people to be granted bail. It's something in our law, absolutely. But again, the other side of it again is some of these people, some, not all, some of these people, you discover that at least I can count in my fingertips a number of those people that are on bail for one drug crime, and while they are still facing trial, they already committed another, the same offense. While they are still facing that, meaning two now, they still, while on bail on the second offense, on the second charge, they are again out there on the streets committing another, and they are arrested. And for even sometimes some of them would have even been convicted and probably served some. The major challenge we have here, we have dedicated judges, we have very conscientious judges who have been doing excellently well on this thing. But in some cases again, you have some of these cases that especially, even though it's in the law, that is the option of fine. When these people are given the option of fine, honestly I'll tell you, they don't blink. They bring out this money and pay in the court, and they become free. That has happened in a number of cases, and more often than not, they go back to, because the deterrence is not there, because they believe that, okay, the worst you can do is take me before the court,
and I'll pay,
because there will always be option of fine. And it's one of the reasons why the agency has to make the removal of the option of fine something cardinal in the amendment bill, in the bill of the agency that is before the National Assembly now, so that because when people actually face the consequences of their action, then they will be deterred. Next time, if you know that you are going to be spending, there is no option of fine, you're going to be spending 15, 20, 25 years in prison, and you would have lost everything you have acquired, then you are not only deterred, but those that hear about your story would also be deterred. They wouldn't want to face that. But when the story is option of fine, they are not moved. So they believe that, okay, when they take me to court, at the end of the day, all the court will just ask me to pay
change.
You pay, yeah, you understand. So that's the major challenge for us, and we're also not resting. We're working with all our stakeholders to address that.
Okay, Evan, before you go, the last time you were on this show, the scourge of crystal meth, what we call Mpurumini in the southeast, was at its peak. But recently it looks as if the situation has drastically gone down.
Absolutely.
What magic did the NDA?
Yeah, absolutely. You see, when you let people know that no matter where they are, the arm of the law will definitely get them. Do you understand? And I think the agency has proven that over and over again. So that's a very strong deterrence. Two, like we often say again, that outbreak in the southeast, we saw the spirit, the WADA spirit, what we call the WADA spirit, that is the War Against Drug Abuse. That's our advocacy initiative to mobilize every citizens to buy in and take ownership of the fight. We saw that come to play in the Southeast because you saw the community. The communities in the Southeast, the leaders, the residents of those places rising up and saying, no, we will not take this. And quite a number of them were able to work with the agency, with our commands, close to them, and respond to this appropriately. Even though there were some of the scenes where some individuals were brought to the village square to be flogged. We don't support that. We don't support violence. But then the fact that the people themselves are able to see this as a threat to their well-being, to their life, to their being alive, and they stood up and said, no, we resist it. That's exactly what we're preaching for everybody, for every community all over the country, to stand up and reject substance abuse. And by the time we get to that point, to see exactly what the people in the Southeast communities did then we would be close to overcoming this whole challenge, because it's a collective thing. It's not about President Bola Tinubu. It's not about General Marwa. It's not about the NDLA alone. It's about all of us, because we are all in grave danger if we don't rise up and fight against this menace.
That's very correct. Femi, if I let you go, it does look as if you are cut out to speak for sensitive organization. I remember you were once the spokesman for the EFCC, and now here you are with NDLA. What is it about you and speaking for sensitive organization? In fact, what does it mean to speak for the NDLA?
Yeah, for me, I just believe that the way God has designed my path, especially in my professional career in life, and I believe very strongly that it's not what I designed myself. It's just how God wants me, or what God wants me, how God wants to use me to serve humanity. And when you talk of what it means to speak for NDLA, it's a lot of discipline, it's a lot of dedication, it's a lot of commitment, and it's a lot of self-restraint, because you have access to a lot of information. You know so much, but then you have to manage and communicate just the little out of the so much. What
the public needs to know.
Yeah, what's on the need to know. So you only communicate what the public needs to know, so that you don't boggle ongoing cases, you don't jeopardize ongoing cases. And but I can tell you, I derive joy in serving humanity, because the work in NDLA, it's in service to humanity, because you are saving lives.
Well, thank you so much, Femi Babafemi, Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLA. Thank you so much for your interventions.
Thank you, Lawrence. It's my pleasure.
All right, so that's our package on Insights today. Our guest has been Femi Babafemi, Director, Media and Advocacy, NDLA, and we've been talking about curbing the challenge of drug trafficking in Nigeria. Insight will return tomorrow with another edition. My name is Lawrence Omoette. Do enjoy the rest of the day, and don't forget that People's Security Monitor comes up next.